Well, let's talk about whistleblowing, really. The federal government, introduced this to encourage reportage of corruption cases. Have you benefited from this, or how much has this really helped?
The whistleblowing regime had always been there. What the federal government has done of recent, which went to the Federal Executive Council, was to attach financial benefits to whistleblowers. And like everything that has an inducement to perform, I think it's been a wonderful exercise, like everybody is seeing. People are much more ready to blow the whistle for good or for bad. Sometimes you could be sent on a wild goose chase.
Have you had several cases of that?
Of course, that's why we treat every case of whistleblowing with a lot of scrutiny, because you don't go barging into people's houses on mere suspicion that somebody has blown the whistle. Sometimes from what might happen if we're not careful is that political opponents can sponsor anybody to blow a whistle, and they already have the media waiting on the wings to fantasize. And so for ICPC, I'm very careful. We are careful here about responding to things that are not very, very concrete.
But is there protection for the whistleblowers?
Oh, definitely. There's protection for the whistleblower. It's always been in the act of ICPC that we should give them protection in terms of anonymity if you don't want to be known. But when you're now having financial reward systems, I think a much more serious regime would have to be put in place. If, for example, you put too much money in the hands of a whistleblower, that might also create a problem for the whistleblower. So maybe as we go along, there might be a phased release of payments to the full value of what had been agreed. Like American lottery, this is a personal suggestion. Sometimes you can win billions, and then they say, look, we'll spread this over 10 years so that you don't run into a major spending binge.
But how much traffic did you get after the whistleblowing system was fully operational?
Oh, we've had a lot of traffic, but like is the case here, we subject each to scrutiny, and the background of the whistleblower might be of a bit of interest to us, so that we do not create a problem for honest citizens who probably are being exposed, in quotes, by those who are angry or had an old quarrel. But for the genuine ones, the moment they give you such information and we do preliminary investigations, it's all turned out to be very good.
Your investigations do take time. Do you get angry whistleblowers?
Anybody who comes with that frame of mind probably has something else apart from trying to expose the truth. Because if you want to expose the truth, you should also note that if I don't do the proper thing, ICPC would also be exposed to ridicule, would also be exposed to lawsuits if you don't do the right thing. So we must be very sure of what package you bring into us. And like that process has stated, we want to be sure that it is not something that is already in our domain or in the domain of another anti-corruption or law enforcement agency. It might be information already available, and you're coming to blow the whistle on something that is already in the public domain. We must note all this, because tomorrow if we say, no, we already have this in our system, two things could happen. The whistleblower could go out and say, you see, after blowing the whistle on them, they now say they have that in their system. They don't want to pay me.
right, hold on with your thoughts. We're still with the chairman of the ICPC. We'll be right back on more corruption cases in Nigeria. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're still with the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the allegation of corruption against the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Did you do anything on it?
That was not within our remit because that had also been asked at several fora, because you cannot have multiple agencies running over the same issue. And that's why it's good when issues like this are raised. We tell you exactly what has come to the commission. It's not before the commission. Let's
now talk about really investigations of governors now, because we understand that there are some former governors under ICPC's searchlight. Is there any right now that you're prosecuting or you're investigating, so to speak?
I can always speak on the ones we are in court with, because that is public knowledge, and in line with our act, we have arraigned the former governor of Zamfara. It's ongoing. It can be checked anytime. It cannot be faulted. So for that particular one, yes, we've done an arraignment, and the case is ongoing as we speak.
So what about the recoveries made?
Recoveries, I must say, is ongoing. Actually, I made it a major issue when I came into ICPC, because I looked through the powers of the chairman, and I discovered that the chairman had immense powers to ask citizens to explain how they got certain properties or assets. So the very first one we did as a test case, I think, was in 2013. It started 2012, 2013, of a director in the Federal Ministry of Trade. That matter was concluded late last year, and the two properties, semi-detached and duplexes, were forfeited officially to the federal government of Nigeria. It has become now the mainstay of government, of this present government, and I'm sure you saw the publication that was made last year of all the seizures and recoveries of funds that were made when this present government came in, cutting across seizures made by ICPC, EFCC, DSS, and some recoveries also made through the Federal Ministry of Justice.
But you also submitted a budget proposal of 5.8 billion to the National Assembly. And of course, there's been calls that the budget for ICPC should be augmented. Really, how is this affecting operations?
Yeah, if you look at our mandate and what is expected of us locally and internationally, I at times feel a bit uneasy asking for more money, but I think we should have a logical sequence for financing anti-corruption in this country or anywhere in the world, because the United Nations Convention that set up anti-corruption agencies was very clear that they should be independent and well-funded. I would rather cut down on my operations than go around begging for money.
All right.
Oh, definitely. And that is why when people make assertions, oh, they are not doing X, Y, Z, would it be better for me to dance to their tune and get money from all and sundry and be compromised than to do what I have been effectively empowered to do?
All right. Okay, as an aside now, if the president called you to ask you very, very briefly and Just to give a rough estimate of how much you're generating for the country in terms of recoveries, what would be your answer?
I would probably tell Mr. President that all the information is being domiciled in the Assets Committee which is set up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ekwonta, for coming on Dateline Abuja.
You're welcome.
Thank you.